Hi there, welcome to Homekeepers. How are you doing today, my friend? So glad to be here, so glad you're there, and hope that you won't make this your last visit with us. All you regular people out there, thank you for your support in so many ways, and for the new folks, just as I said, don't let it be your last time. We just welcome you all in here. It wouldn't be great if we could just have a girl party here. But I don't want to leave out my male viewers because I run into them and they write to me. So you're all welcome, because homekeeping is absolutely important for everybody in the home. And it's not talking about keeping house, it's talking about keeping home, that unit that God put together, actually in the Garden of Eden. And when you keep that concise and tight and centered on the Lord and His plan, it's going to make all the difference in the world in your life, and it would change the nation if we got it back the way He designed it. So this is an important program, and I know that a lot of you agree with me on that. I have a return guest today. She was on the last program. Her name is Linda Goff. She wrote a brand new book, Skinny Budget Diet, and on the last program she talked about the correlation really between being way overweight and money problems. I guess there are some studies on that. And she knows what she's talking about because she lost 150 pounds and has kept it off over 4 years. Also, we talked about some things about how maybe even a spouse can sabotage a person, that this is it's a complex issue, but the bottom line is, if you need to lose weight, you decide to lose it. Lose it. Don't let any of these outside voices affect you on that. We want you to be healthier. And on the last program, we fixed a dessert. Today we're going to fix her, it's a chowder, ham and potato chowder, I believe it is, that you put in a slow cooker. And for those people who want to lose weight, now I find out that slow cookers really are significant. We'll find out about that. Before I join her, though, to put together this chowder, I want to again offer you this book on prayer. I think it's one of the most important things I've ever offered to you, and it has a host of great authors in it on the subject of prayer. People like Charles Spurgeon, like George Whitefield, like E.M. Bounds, the real true church fathers, and I want to send it to you. The address is on the screen. And if you cannot send anything, I would like you to have the book anyway. However, if you can send an offering, none too small, none too large, when you request the book, would be so helpful at this time. It would just be such a welcome gift. The address is Homekeepers, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida, 33758. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I promise you this is one of the most important things I've ever offered you. I am so concerned about our nation, the fact that our children are going to grow up in Sodom and Gomorrah, and the only thing they'll turn around is prayer, and God's people need to rally to that cause. So I hope you'll take advantage of that. And I'm over here with Linda now. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks.
Welcome back.
Good to be here.
We used to call these crock pots, but they call them slow cookers.
Slow cookers, and it smells good. So we're going to open that up here in just a second.
And this is a slow cooker. We're going to put it together.
And the reason I think having this in your kitchen is crucial for weight loss. When I weighed 300 pounds, I was really looking for any excuse to go to the drive-thru for fast food, to order takeout, pizza, Chinese. Having this at home, waiting for you, smelling wonderful when you walk in the door, will keep you from eating fast food. And there were so many
from the
nights.
drive-thru.
Absolutely. You can do all the work in the morning. If you're tired after a long day, driving the kids to different practices, it's wonderful. You walk in and your dinner's made, and you just can't beat that.
And you are echoing Stephanie, who usually is there before you are. So it must be true.
It is. It really is. And there's something about a slow cooker because, in the skinny budget diet, part of it is budget. You can use slices of meat that maybe you wouldn't want to broil, but when you slow cook them, you know, even though they're not the most expensive cuts of meat, they become tender and they have so much flavor. So this is my best friend in the kitchen.
What's the story of this recipe?
Yeah, I wanted to do a chowder because I love a challenge. And if you're a chowder fan, you know that it can be heavy. It has a lot of cream, and so I wanted to find a version that's lower in calories. And again, you know, with your soups and stews and things like that, it's all about portion control. And when you've got a bowl and you fill that bowl, you know that's your portion, and it's a lot harder to overeat because when you get to the bottom, you're done.
So this doesn't have any of the cream in it that I love.
Right, but it's got some tasty things in it. So we're going to start with 3 cups of chicken stock. And so we're going to pour that in, and this is such an easy recipe because everything goes in one place. You don't have to prep anything ahead of time. So
we've had some great slow, I'll get these out of the way.
Okay.
Some great slow cooker recipes on this program. And if our homekeepers could really understand more of a long-range planning, plan your meals and all, oh, your life is so much simpler.
It is, and what's great about this is you can double the recipe and freeze it. So for a night where you've got a lot of ball practices or the kids have a lot of things going, maybe you've got church in the evening, you come home, you know, you stick it in the microwave and it's delicious. So we've got our chicken stock, and we're going to add to that about a cup of diced ham. There you go.
Got to get every
little bit in there. You don't want to lose any ham, so I'm going to give this to you. And here's where our cream comes in, and this is actually lower in calories than if you use like a heavy whipping cream. So we're going to use 1 can of cream of chicken soup.
Although I would probably rather have the whipping cream.
Oh, I know. And if you double the recipe, what I like to do is 1 can of chicken stock and then 1 can of cream of celery. So you can do the cream of chicken and the cream of celery to kind of add a new flavor in there, and that's delicious. And then you've got your potatoes, and we took 4 potatoes and diced them about 1 inch. We kind of cube them up there. And what I want to let those at home that want to try this know, you will want to do your potatoes smaller if you've got a shorter amount of time. So if you're going to do 4 hours on high, I would slice the potatoes smaller. But if you're doing 8 to 10 hours on low, an inch is perfect. So
and I'll put this together. This is a half a cup of flour and a half a cup of water.
Right, and that's going to do the thickening
Gives you
for
a little
us. Yeah, so we'll get working on that. We've got 1 cup of corn.
And that was frozen.
Yeah,
of course, any kind would work, wouldn't it?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've used canned corn, and that's great. Got some onion to add some flavor. And then, again, to kind of help us out with that creamy sensation, I'm going to borrow a spoon here. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of butter. And again, it's so wonderful. All this just goes into 1 crock pot, so you don't have a lot of things going on at the stove. It just all goes right in there. And so this is our mixture with our water and flour, and that's going to get poured in.
You want this in now?
Yeah, and that's going to help thicken it as it cooks. And I found that if you like a thicker chowder, about 1 hour or 2 hours before you eat, if you want to take some cold water and cornstarch and mix that up outside of the crock pot, then pour it into the crock pot.
Add it in there a little bit?
That'll thicken it even more. And then one of the best ways to add flavor without adding calories is with spices. So we've got some great spices here. We've got 1 tablespoon of parsley, and we've got dill weed and celery seed. And we're going to add that in. And this smells amazing. When this cooks all day long, it just smells amazing.
This is hearty.
It is, and when it's cold outside, and I know in Tampa it doesn't get too cold, but up in Missouri where it's 19 degrees right now, this is good stuff. And then we've got salt and pepper, and that's to taste. And when I tried this recipe out with my friends, they had recommendations on maybe adding some Mrs. Dash, or even if you like a little bit of heat, some red pepper flakes. So this is very flexible.
So if you put this in the pot, I'm looking for the lid.
We can.
Okay, if you do this, you know, like first thing in the morning and all, which is best if it's on low for 8 hours.
It is, yeah. It tastes better that way. It thickens up a little bit better. So if you have a choice whether to do 4 hours on high or 8 to 10 hours on low, go low.
Okay, now, but what would you serve with it?
Yeah, I would probably do a salad with this. And because you've got some carbohydrates with your potatoes, you've got some protein with your ham, I would do like a nice salad on the side. You really don't need bread with this because you've got the corn and you've got the potatoes, and those are both carbohydrates.
So what do you do with bread when?
I eat bread.
I
do. I still eat bread. What I try to do is find ways of controlling it. So especially when I go to a restaurant and they bring the big basket of bread, everyone will take one slice and then I'll ask the server just to remove it. And at home, the most important thing is to plate your food in the kitchen and then bring it into your dining room. Don't bring all the food to the dining room table because it's too hard to not just sit there and nibble and nibble and nibble, and then before you know it, you've eaten 2 or 3 portions.
Oh, tell me about it.
So plate your food in the kitchen and then take it into the dining room, and that'll help you control those calories and not
I want to
overeat.
tell you, I took a taste of this. It is wonderful. There's nothing like a little bit of ham to give it a
Exactly.
punch.
And they've done a lot of
This is-
research, and potatoes are terrific to help you stay full. So, you know, I know potatoes got such a bad rap, you know, as
I love
being
'em.
high in carbohydrates, but, you know, if you don't
That
add a
is
lot of...
so tasty,
It
girl.
is. I love
really
it.
is.
I had some this weekend. But if you're looking for foods to keep you full, which when you're on a weight loss plan, that's what you're wanting, potatoes are terrific. They're really good.
All right, we've got a lot more to talk about her book, but if you're interested in this recipe, that information is coming up on your screen. It is delicious. The flavors in there, and I can see where it'd probably be better if it was 8 hours instead of 4 or 5. So stay with us, get the information. Well, it's hard to believe that for much of her life, my guest weighed 150 pounds more than she does now. And this book chronicles her journey, and she's kept it off over 4 years. And it's obvious to me that you've just made it a lifestyle, that this is the way we got to live.
Absolutely.
So this, you know, don't whine, don't whatever. This is the way it is. And you seem pretty happy.
I am, and you know, what's amazing is I thought, well, if I give my obesity to the Lord, He's going to put me on this terrible plan where I eat nothing but unleavened bread. You know, I just picture that you know, this horrible thing where I would be miserable every day that I was on the diet. Well, we have a perfect Lord, and the weight loss plan He put me on was perfect. I ate the same meals that my family ate. We just looked for clever ways to lower the calories.
That's it. Bottom line is calories in, calories out.
Yes.
That's the bottom line, no matter how they fix it up, bells and whistles and all that. Now, some of the things you went through, you on the last program, you kind of said that you tried everything, but we didn't talk about you had an obsession to have gastric bypass, and I don't doubt there's some areas sometimes that is warranted, but it gives me the chills. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies to think about it.
It's really the last resort.
Major
It
surgery.
is a major surgery, and you know, again, it can save lives. But the most important thing with having gastric bypass is that you understand that it can get you part of the way, but then you've got to be able to lose the weight, you know, to hit your goal. So you still have to know calories in, calories out. You have to learn portion control. And when I wanted gastric bypass, I didn't want to do any of the work. I wanted the surgery to make me skinny and make me skinny fast. You know, it's that childlike mentality that we talked about last time. And I was devastated when my insurance company wouldn't pay for it.
You didn't qualify.
No.
Why?
I wasn't sick enough.
Oh.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have to be...
Oh, shoot, I'm not sick enough. Yeah.
You have to be unhealthy enough to need the surgery, so you have to be morbidly obese. But I wasn't diabetic yet. I didn't have heart disease yet. And they said, you know, keep trying on your own. And when I got that news, you know, I was depressed for months. And
Because
actually,
you weren't sick enough.
yeah, and I actually thought, well, okay, what I'll do is I'll keep eating, and maybe they'll let me have the surgery if I'm 350 pounds or 400 pounds.
You're kidding. Did you
No.
really think like that?
I did. Yeah, I thought, well, if I need to be sicker, that's what I'll do. And so I went on a weight gain plan. And
You were kidding.
no, and I'm just as good as that as I am at weight loss. It turns out I can gain weight if I need to. That's not hard at all.
What did you do? Just double up on the ice cream and the pizza?
Yeah, and I loved, you know, the coffee shop in my town has these iced coffee drinks with heavy whipping cream, and the little size is 650 calories. So
Really?
yeah, drink a few of those a day and you'll
Yeah.
put the weight on. So that was, I mean, it was just incredibly unhealthy what I was doing to try to qualify for gastric bypass. And looking now, I'm so glad I didn't do it.
It wasn't straight thinking.
No,
either.
it wasn't. You know, and it was, I think it was the devil was telling me that that God wasn't big enough, that I had a problem that was too large for our Creator. And that was the lie I had in my head. I thought, well, you know, other people have discipline, other people have willpower, but I don't have it. And I even started to think that it was God's will for me to be morbidly obese. And that was such a lie, straight from the devil.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We tend to kind of blame God for a lot of things that.
Yeah.
I think of, I don't see a whole lot of TV that other people see because I'm working, but I remember a couple of programs with Dr. Phil. And these people, you know, like had to move the wall to get them out and special kind of things to transport them. We're talking about 800 pounds, so forth. Even a person like that, can you tell me how they think? Because you'll have a mother there that is buying them 3 or 4 big breakfasts loaded with grease and bacon and eggs and stuff. So I looked at this mother and I thought, what is the matter with you? This child person cannot get out of the bed, and you're bringing him this stuff.
Yeah.
And do you have any idea how that thought process goes?
Yeah, I think it's something I talk about in the skinny budget diet, but it's that on steroids. So there are certain types of people, and I am one. In the book, I call them food angels. And the way a food angel works is they love through cooking, they love through feeding. And I can be that way. You know, when I love someone, I want to cook for them, I want to watch them eat the food. And I think a lot of times in situations like that, it's the only way these mothers know how to express love is to give their children food. And in situations like that, it's the food angel, but it's on steroids. Obviously, it's at a point where it's just hard to even watch.
So was the great desire and effort to have gastric bypass, was that the end of your search?
Yeah, that was when I stopped dieting. That was when I gave up. And for those that are watching at home, I think this is an important thing to think about. If you've reached a point where you are making yourself the punchline to the joke, where you are actually openly admitting that you're obese and you're making jokes about your size, you've hit bottom. And it's a lot like the stages of grief, obesity, and I talk about that in the skinny budget diet. The stages are very similar, where at first you're in denial, you think, oh, you know, I've just gained a few pounds from high school, you know, and you go through all of those stages. And when I started to make myself the punchline, the joke, you know.
What's that like inside, though?
Yeah, you are wanting to admit that you know you're obese and hope that nobody else will make fun of you. You think, okay, if I make fun of myself, it'll stop others from making fun of me. And so it's a defense mechanism. And you know, if you've reached that point, and you know, that's kind of why I wrote the book. I wrote the book for people that are at that place where they are tired of dieting and they don't hardly have the courage to try again.
Was there a moment that you can recall when you tried all this and you realized you were making excuses even to yourself? Was there a moment that just propelled you to get on the right track?
I had a few of them. I wish I could say it only took one, but I guess I have a thick skull and the Lord had to put a few of them in my path. I live in a small town, and so we don't have a large shopping mall, and the clothing store I shopped at stopped at a size 24. And I was a size 26. So I went in one day to buy a pair of jeans and took the size 24 into the changing room and couldn't get them zipped. So I actually laid down on the changing room floor, because you know, ladies know this, if you lay down you can get things zipped.
Oh yeah.
So I'm laying on the changing room floor trying to get these jeans zipped, and you know, the door only goes down so far, so everyone could see me. And the manager walked in, and you know, and there's this 300-pound woman trying to wiggle into a pair of jeans, you know, and so she saw me, and of course we became friends, because that's what women do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm really embarrassed, so you're gonna have to be my friend now.
Yeah.
And so a few months later I walked in and she said, oh, Linda, our sizes go up to 32 now. And that
Good
was an
news.
eye-opening day. Yeah, on one hand, I was glad I wouldn't be naked. Always good. But on the other hand, it was like, how sad is this? This woman knows that I can't fit into a 24 anymore.
And maybe you're the reason they upped.
I wouldn't doubt it,
yeah.
you know, because I know she just, her heart broke for me.
Yeah.
You know, such a nice lady, and she didn't have clothes that would fit me anymore.
Yep. Hey, if you just tuned in, my guest is Linda Goff, and the book is The Skinny Budget Diet. It's brand new, and it's really smoking on some of these websites where you can buy it, which is Amazon, Barnes & Noble, ChristianBook.com has it. And we're going to put that website up. We're going to leave it up for the rest of the show, and you can get a lot more energy there, a lot more information there, maybe energy as well.
Absolutely.
And it's got some recipes and all, and it's her story of victory. Hey, this is a victorious testimony. So you get started. What did you just decide? Had you read books, whatever? Okay, we got to make the portions a little smaller. We got to cut the calories. And as I said before, friends, it's calories in, calories out. I was surprised that you allowed 2,000 calories. I thought that was quite a bit.
It is, and it's based on your size. So 2,000 calories isn't going to be right for everyone, but I was over 300 pounds. And so when you are morbidly obese, you're going to start with a lot of calories. And I think God is wonderful, because if I had, you know, started out the first day with only 1,200, I don't think I would have
Couldn't have made it.
Yeah, but because I was larger, I was allowed more calories. And so that's the interesting thing, you know, if you're watching at home and you think, oh, I can only have 1,000 calories a day, probably not. You can probably have more than that, especially if you're heavy. You know, the other thing I did different with this weight loss plan, different than any of the other plans I'd been on before, is I prayed. And I kind of want to explain why that's important.
Of course, go
when
ahead.
when you are morbidly obese and you see something that looks delicious, brownies or cookies, anytime I would try to control myself and walk away, I would feel so angry. Really, rage is not overstating it. I felt rage if I couldn't have what I wanted. I had so much anger, and that was the miracle I needed from God. I knew how to lose weight, but I needed the Lord to take that anger away. For some people, it's fear, but for me, it was just flat out mad.
Yeah, because you couldn't have the
Yeah, and I
ice
would
cream
do this
sundae.
whole thing. It's like, well, you know, I worked hard. I worked hard today. I deserve to have these cookies. You know, I had all these little games I would play in my head, and the Lord took that away the day I prayed. And it still gives me goosebumps. It was an immediate answer to a prayer.
Wow.
And it wasn't a pretty
That's
prayer.
amazing.
Yeah, I was, you know, I was crying, and you know, I had just woken up. My hair was standing straight up. You know, I looked rough when I prayed that prayer, and it was life-changing. It really
Did you
was.
make an announcement to your family?
No, and this is where I need people to do what I say and not what I did. I had been on so many weight loss plans before and had failed that I was...
They were probably going, oh yeah.
Exactly, that's what I was afraid of. So the first week, I just did it on my own, and after, you know, about 6 or 7 days, my husband, who was a very, very terrific man, but he noticed, and he said, honey, you're a little grumpy, what's going on? And so that's when I fessed up that I was trying to lower my calories, and I will never forget, he didn't roll his eyes. He didn't say, oh, well, good luck this time. He said, great, I'll do it with you, because he was also overweight. So
Woo,
that's,
1 in a million.
yeah, and that's the reason that we were able to keep going, you know, month after month, was because we could support each other. And so I talk about that a lot in the book. And your spouse is obviously, you know, a wonderful source of support, but it doesn't have to be. So
Yeah.
if your spouse isn't going to support you, don't let that be an excuse.
Nope.
You know, turn to your church,
Find a
turn to
friend,
family,
yeah.
friends, absolutely.
God supporting you?
Yeah,
for sure.
there are several chapters about support, because it's so important.
Boy, that got so much, and time's running out. Can we do anything about our metabolism?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, and everyone has, you know, everybody knows the thin person that just seems to eat and eat and never has a problem. Kind of what I want to talk about is that a lot of times obese people assume that they have a bad thyroid or that they have poor metabolism, and there are some conditions, but for the most part, almost probably 95% of the people watching today have a metabolism that's just fine. They're just eating or drinking, and that's important, drinking more calories than they need. I talk to a lot of people, and they don't eat a lot of food, but you know, if you're having 4 or 5 cans of soda every day, that's where your calories are coming in.
Yeah, and I understand even the diet ones affect the insulin or whatever it does that
Right.
can give you belly fat. So
Right. Well, and if you are drinking diet soda and it's making you crave sugar, well, there's your answer. You know, you need to switch to something that doesn't have the artificial sweeteners.
belly fat burning food doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. There are foods that make you feel full, and we talk about that in the book, and those are terrific, you know, foods that have protein and fiber. I've always heard if you're stranded on a desert island and you can only take one food with you, let it be beans, because beans have protein and fiber and lots of vitamins, and they make you feel full.
You need to be able to cook them.
Yes, you know, and you have to know how to cook them, and we're going to have some recipes on my website with some information on that. But so there are foods that are terrific in that way. But this whole thing about eating grapefruit, that grapefruit will burn fat, no, you know.
You know, some of those things, if you just sit just a minute, get quiet and think, common sense will come in. You can't live on grapefruit.
Right,
Let's
or
face it.
bananas, like
Yeah.
we talked about in the last program.
Now the book offers specifics on as you lower your food budget, you lower the pounds on the scale. That's that's obvious. Do you do more long-range planning? How far out do you plan meals?
Yeah, and that's the important thing, and I will be completely honest, it's going to take time. And really, where your willpower comes in, it's not really with your food, it's with your calendar and your clock. You know, you may watch a little less television, but you're going to take that time and you're going to put it to better use to plan your meals. And even before you go out to a restaurant, pull up their menu online, look at their choices.
Yeah, you can.
And what I started to do, because the menus have these gorgeous pictures of, you know, desserts and appetizers, things that you may not, you know, may not fit in your plan. I would know what I was going to eat before I walked in the door, and when the server tried to give me the menu, I would just say, no thanks, I know what I'm going to order, I don't need to see the pictures. So doing a little investigative work, you know, before you go is crucial.
Yep, it's not rocket science, and I have so much, and we're out of time. I don't know when time has gone so fast in programs, but I hope that you'll check this out, Skinny Budget Diet. My guest for the last 2 days, Linda Goff. Really good sense, and if this is a problem area for you, this book can help you. Join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.